Lewis Hamilton has explained how his Mercedes car changed during a race weekend in Canada that saw him return to the podium, following a nightmare Friday that saw the 37-year-old write off his 2022 car. The 7-time world champion complained that his W13 was only getting worse. Hamilton complained that his undrivable car was the worst he had ever driven around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Yet on Sunday, he was able to keep up with his competitors, and thanks to a late race safety car, found himself briefly in contention for the race win. The balance I had on Friday was neutral, super positive, so no rear end, and as soon as you applied 1 degree of turning, the rear end came around. I was just fighting that constantly, and it was very difficult to keep out of the wall. That's why I didn't finish my long run, because it was just undrivable in that setup. We tried 2 different avenues, and the avenue I went down was dreadful. We collated all the data we had and we made drastic changes to the setup, and it was much nicer. It was more in line with what we anticipated. I had a little, nice amount of understeer with better traction, not having those snaps. It was a night and day difference. The outcome on Sunday has re-energized Hamilton and his team, with the Brit now claiming that their problematic car has a lot of potential. It feels great today to be in amongst the battle, and for a second at the end there, I was just about keeping up with these guys until they pulled away at the end. It gave me and the team a lot of hope. I think that there's more to come from this car. The potential is truly there if we can get the setup right. I think that's been the most difficult thing this year. Really trying to optimize the window for this car is much smaller than any other car we've experienced. I've not been on the podium for a long time, so especially as I had my first win here 15 years ago. To be back up there and getting to experience the energy from the crowd was very reminiscent in that first year here. I'm so happy with it. The next stop will be Hamilton's home race at Silverstone, where he hopes the fast nature of the track will suit the Mercedes, assuming they can control the bouncing issues that have plagued them for much of the season. It's better in medium and high-speed corners than low speed, but we have bouncing, so don't know how it's going to be in Copse. He said of his prospects for the British Grand Prix, which he heads to position 6th in the Drivers' Championship on 77 points, 2 places and 34 points behind his compatriot teammate. Since their return to the sport as a works outfit in 2010, the W13 has been one of the more difficult Mercedes cars, and it certainly has been the most difficult they have had since the turbo hybrid era began in 2014. Indeed, the car has pace, but only in certain setups, and finding those setups each weekend has proven tricky, with each track posing unique challenges. Evidently, when the road surface is bumpier, they appear to have more issues, but in Canada, they appear to have found a good solution, with their race pace good enough to deliver them a P3 with Lewis Hamilton and a P4 with George Russell. After the Grand Prix, team boss Toto Wolff was clearly pleased with what he had seen, and when asked by Sky about their prospects for Silverstone, which has a very smooth track surface compared to some of the street circuits the sport has visited recently, he said, "If we are able to run the car low, then we can be competitive. But you know, after Barcelona we were cheering that we were back in the championship fight, so let's see." Given what's happened after Barcelona, it's not surprising that Wolff is wary of getting too excited. The Mercedes appeared quick in Spain, but Monaco and Baku proved problematic, indicating that there is still work to be done for the car to be fast everywhere. Furthermore, we anticipate significant upgrade packages from their rivals Red Bull and Ferrari, making the prospect of further progress even less promising. Red Bull is still celebrating their victory in Montreal, but attention will quickly shift to the next round of the championship, which will feature the home Grand Prix for many of the teams here in the UK. Red Bull will undoubtedly be looking to win, with their factory located just down the road from Silverstone, and you would be foolish to bet against them given their stunning run of winning form, having not been out of the top step since Melbourne. Horner, on the other hand, appears to be wary of the threat that both Ferrari and Mercedes may pose in the coming weeks, speaking to Sky Sports after Max Verstappen's victory in Canada and saying, "Mercedes' pace at the end of the race was very strong, so they could be a factor at Silverstone. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hearing there's going to maybe be some upgrades on the Ferrari for Silverstone, so it's going to be an interesting one." Another factor to consider is reliability. Mercedes has dominated this category this season, with their rivals at the front suffering from numerous DNFs. While Max Verstappen won the Canadian Grand Prix, Sergio Perez was forced to retire, not even making 10 laps. Helmut Marko has explained the circumstances surrounding Sergio Perez's unexpected retirement from the Canadian Grand Prix. Following a crash in qualifying on Saturday, the Mexican started the race from P13 on the grid, but he was forced to pull off the track only 8 laps into the race due to a mechanical issue. According to Marko, Red Bull has now determined what caused the issue. It was the gearbox that broke down. The gearbox was at the end of its life, but it should have held, so we suspect it could also be a consequence of Saturday's accident, although he didn't hit anything directly with the gearbox. It was unfortunate, but you could see that when you are like Leclerc in traffic, how difficult it is to overtake, even for the best cars. Despite Perez's issues, however, Marco insisted that there was no such issues on Max Verstappen's RB18, and that the only cause for concern was the temperature of the brakes. We kept a close eye on the temperatures. We were more worried about the brakes. In the first stage of the race, we were at the limit in terms of temperature for the discs and the pads. However, the Dutchman also encountered yet another issue that surfaced in the middle of the race. After his second pit stop, Verstappen was closing in on Ferrari rival Sainz, only for the safety car to be deployed with 21 laps remaining after Yuki Tsunoda crashed at turn 1. It meant that after pitting, Sainz emerged right behind Verstappen with 5 laps fresher tyres, giving him an advantage for the final charge to the line. With 16 laps remaining, Sainz quickly got within DRS range of Verstappen and piled on pressure in the closing stages, starting the final lap just 0.4 of a second behind the Red Bull. But Verstappen held on to win the race by less than 1 second, his 6th victory of the season and a 46-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. It emerged after the race that Verstappen had suffered a radio failure just before the race went back to green, which meant the Red Bull pit wall could not hear him in the car, although he could still receive instructions from race engineer Gianpiero Lambiase. Verstappen said, "It didn't work anymore. It decided to stop. I have no clue when it stopped, but at one point GP told me it was not working anymore. I think on the in-lap after the line. I guess it must have been working before, or it already didn't work before, which probably they didn't mind, as long as I can hear them. That's the most important thing." Before the team realized it couldn't hear Verstappen, the radio went very quiet, according to Christian Horner. There was just one-way traffic from GP to Max, just giving him the gaps, but nothing coming from the car. It turns out that the radio wasn't working, or certainly he could hear us, but we couldn't hear him. This, combined with Ferrari's reliability issues in Baku, means that while Mercedes may not have the speed, they may win on reliability. In the long run, every point lost by Ferrari or Red Bull could push the Brackley team into championship contention, provided they can solve their bouncing issue to a greater extent. What are your thoughts on Mercedes' performance in Canada? Is it a promising result for the rest of the season, or a mirage as Barcelona appear to be? Ferrari and Red Bull have both had reliability issues in 2022. How will this play out throughout the season? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.